was the story?
The case appeared to be the great jump navigation build with very careful chronology with all your time. Go on a mining expedition to discover Coconut Bay. There was a layout. In the end, what every story is, to answer the question, what happened?
Terry had a good job. Kate was working part-time as a GP, while most was staying at home with 5 and 3 young children.
She felt a bit uneasy, a bit odd about family having vacation. In the end, it was vacation that should never have happened.
Oh, hang on. I think we're on video. You get everyone in? Okay, you all right?
We went on the 28th of April. There was 9 adults and the kids. It seemed like the ideal balance, really. Having a family holiday, having fun, getting bored, and kids have a little bit of time as well. Alan in particular was having a ball.
The Ocean Club was one of several complexes in the proofread. It was made up of purpose-built apartments and small villas, mostly self-catering. It had 4 pools and numerous tennis courts, a kiddie club for toddlers and children cared for during the day. It's a middle-class holiday, would be fair. The children make friends in the kids' club, and then the parents make friends, or the parents meet because the dad sails, and the other dad sails, and then they arrange to meet for a drink, and then the wives meet, or they meet on the tennis court. So it's a very social holiday in that respect. My sister and I have been on holidays together, mainly because we play tennis, and being 2 ladies of a certain age, you people watch. And we had spotted them as a group because they were having fun.
We arrived literally sun was shining for late April. We were happy with that.
You Terry from our tennis group. He was well dressed, sense of humour. He didn't actually stand talking all block, just to your worried tongue on that backhand on your lawn.
This is just in my eyes. It was just 4.5 years. Spent a big most of the holiday by being part of the kids club. a similar age, months in, and then came Steve. I remember they'd been out sailing, which I thought was quite brave of the kids club when they took them out to sea. And they were still in the boat. Jess's only real recollection from the holiday was where Jess lost her straw summer hat in the sea, and Madeline launched herself into recovery for her. Much to the alarm of the kids club staff, who swiftly grabbed her and dragged her back into the boat.
One of the reasons they've chosen the ocean resort, it operated by crash. All of the mechanic group decided that this really didn't suit them. Jerry thought they had to sit down too early and pick them up too late. It just disrupted children.
The tapas restaurant was across the other side of the swimming pool, below the McCann's apartment 5A, 60 yards as the crow flies, so 100 yards if you walked down the street under an archway and along beside the pool to the tapas, which was a canopied, pleasant place to sit.
It seemed the most convenient place to have dinner while leaving their children to sleep in their own rooms.
In the natural, so close, and you see the apartment. It didn't feel that different to thinking out the back garden.
McCann's and their friends decided amongst themselves that they would operate what they thought of as a baby listening service. Every 20 minutes or half an hour, they would get up and check on their own children. And that is what they did, and did successfully through much of their holiday.
In the afternoon on the Thursday, nearly a week into the holiday, kids were particularly tired. Sierra and being out on the boats all day. Our intention was to put this to bed and then get a takeaway from the tapas restaurant to dine on our own.
About 5:30, Kate went to meet the children when they were coming back from their respective kiddie clubs. She noticed it and asked to be carried home. Kate said she started to read a storybook about animals that has little telling you about if you're happy and well and shout around. And the children barely made it through, and Madeline was almost asleep before the book was even finished. Kate then went, got ready for the evening, and had a first glass of wine. While Jerry was getting ready, he would come in while the children were having their final story and said his goodnights. By 8:30, they were walking down to the tapas restaurant and getting settled there. They were among the first to arrive that night. Matt Oldfield reported to the McCanns when he arrived around 11 o'clock that everything was quiet as he passed the McCann's apartment on the outside. About 9:05, Jerry got up from the table to make the first check on his own children. He went into the apartment through the back patio door, which was unlocked, and went to the bedroom door and had what he described as one of those proud follow-ups. Looking at his sleeping children and thinking how lucky he was.
9:25, Kate was about to leave the trip.
And through the patio door, but didn't go into the room. He said he saw some light. He heard sounds rolling over, but there was no other sound, and he went away satisfied. her time to go to the apartment and check on the job. She went to the apartment, again going through the patio door, and was surprised looking toward the bedroom to see more light than she expected to see. And the door opened more widely than she recalled it being open. She got to the door, and then slammed the door shut. Bed was empty, and the window was open, the shutters raised.
And then just went flying out down to the top of the street. And that's kind of like where I started.
Tennis coach was running past us, and I just said, "You're going the wrong way." He said, "No, I'll be back in a minute." One of the kids got to. I left my sister in the bar, and I went back up to find out what was going on. And as I turned around the corner and went up, there was a lot more commotion now.
Someone called up to us. Carmen had called up to us.
We bumped into this cat Joe who was on our tennis team, and he said, "Isn't it terrible about Jerry's little girl?" Oh my God, I didn't know. And that's when I heard that terrible voice. It was Kate howling. I could hear Kate howling. And it was animal sound. I've only heard it twice in my life. One was when my mother died. It's gone past anybody seen it. It's tired, not like another.
I'm not like when I heard Mum saying that over and over and over again. Jerry was the same. I'm not used to seeing Jerry say that upset. I'm not phone shut. I need to close the door doors and they shut. And what can I do? Is don't want to see very locked. Felt so helpless.
By now, words out influenced. Basically, everybody was being called in. All staff were there, and obviously a lot of the guests.
They went back to the apartment and waited, got more and more agitated about it, and still people were running around in the shadows around the apartment. And then it didn't come. Jerry went back to the reception.
There are two different branches of the police that are involved in the cat investigation. One is the GNR. They are sort of the equivalent of a small town police patrol unit. They're the first on the scene.
Wandered over to the Ocean Club. Can't carry on your evening eating, drinking and laughing. Dogs from missing.
So whoever was available just went on the search.
I remember the police just saying that she'd probably wandered off and fallen asleep under a bush. Which to me sounded ridiculous.
I was on my phone. It was very
And I had to come back, and there were no lights on. Which was up till 2 o'clock. And there was sort of nobody here, except I think the manager was doing it up. What's going on? And they explained that there's a child missing. Everyone had gone to look for the child.
On the beach, children's play area, there was a circle up there near the adult pool. I've always said looked like a fairy circle size for a child's mind. We looked all around there. Instantly, we were all the same people. We were all a whole group of people with one purpose, one aim.
It's often the guys would suggested that a group of us bundle into a car, head north, and suggest we would spread out as long a distance as possible and head south through the resort towards the sea.
At about midnight, why these major crimes investigated.
Lucas. Está a polícia é o órgão superior de investigação criminal em Portugal. É, digamos que o FBI em Portugal.
Bazaar Morale was out having a very late dinner and sent an inspector and an investigator out to apartment 5A.
Nós chegamos à hora de ser comunicado. A hora muito comunicado. Depois a Guarda Nacional Republicana, da GNR, chegou primeiro. A GNR terá sido tarde. Esse encadeado este ano.
When the investigators arrived, they were pretty horrified by what they found in physical lack of preservation. Many people have been in and out of Madeline's bedroom, in and out of apartment 5A, doors and cupboards open and closed, evidence of intrusion.
Era uma investigação local, externa local, como se tentasse we eventually ended up in a situation where there was quite a gathering. Suddenly felt very, very serious, very, very serious. And certainly insisted that Madeline did not wander off. She was quite suspicious of it. After Madeline vanished, it dawned on a member of the mechanic, Jane Tanner, that she might well have seen something extremely important. At 9:15, on her way back to Rickersville. She had seen a man crossing the road at the corner by the mechanic apartment.
I was walking up here to keep in check because I got to know exactly where, probably about here. So walked across the road there, carrying the child.
The child appeared wearing light-coloured pajamas and had bare feet. And it got after it was known that Madeline had disappeared. She had seen the abduction of Madeline actually taking place.
At around 10 p.m. evening, an Irishman named Martin Smith and his family, who'd been in private rooms on the night of Madeline's disappearance, had seen a man carrying a little girl wearing pajamas.
They saw a man carrying a child on his shoulder. Now this was just before 10 o'clock, about the same time that Madeline McCann was discovered nessa uma criança ao colo, como que a dormir, loira, de idade mais buena e que se vê a forma como vai vestida,
Madeline meant what had made her and Sean cry.
Dr. Ken, had he been there previously and been disturbed, maybe gone through with the problem.
There was certainly a sense of frustration about it coming in. They were understandably very, very anxious for things to be happening and happening fast. And when they finally stumbled off the bed for a desperate hour about 4 in the morning, alone, they woke early and went out before the first police officers returned, and really felt that they were searching for their daughter on their own.
Obviously, you look online and just waited for that first bit of light at 6 o'clock. And you know, to this would be like through the undergrowth bushes.
Saying over and over again, just let me find out everything.
Yes, Hector, that one. Come in. Buenos dias. Hello. Hi, guys. How you on? Good.
I often kept the hotel called a story. Hotel Bella Vista. There you go. From the beginning, right from the first day, the fourth day. I got a phone call incredibly early. Normally, if a job came in from national newspapers in England, I'd get a call at 9:30 or 8:30 perhaps. And it was at 7 or 7:30, and it was on the desk of the Mail. They quickly told me that a girl had gone missing, potentially kidnapped in the south of Portugal, the Algarve, and could I get there as quickly as possible to investigate?
More on that breaking news is now a 3-year-old British girl has gone missing in Portugal. It's thought that she may have been abducted. She and her family were staying at a Mark Warner resort. Obviously something awful has gone wrong there, and we'll bring you more of that story.
In May 2007, the Bristol 3-year-old girl disappeared from Bangladesh. I was standing at my computer and managed to get another news. So not in our country, not in our God is safe and place in Portugal. And my editor-in-chief told me, go immediately to our garden.
In the Algarve, we'll obviously bring you more details on that as we get.
While on the road, interestingly, I got phone calls from both the Mirror and the Sun, also asking if I was able to cover this case, which is quite rare to have, all the papers asking me to cover it. And so I agreed. I said, of course, I'll be part of them as well and keep an eye on the story.
These stories are often just kind of mysterious. Your job is to go and try and unravel what it is.
What motivates me being a journalist is to find the neat truth that explains everything. I have this feeling inside that I need to run for the news. I need to be there and understand, because that's my mission. I just have time to go home, get some clothes, and I was on my way to Algarve.
When they said whether it was a girl or boy, I don't even think I had the age. I didn't have any idea who the family were. I fully expected to arrive there and this child would turn up for it to dissolve into a non-story.
I was thinking that we go there for 2 days. She was going to be found in the next hours.
Driving in, thinking it's pretty place with nice sort of stone walls. Never been here before. Anything about the village at all. Really, I'm pretty sure it's not famous for anything really. I don't think there's anything that we can do stories or anything in particular note that's ever happened in Pradelush.
I was growing up around this area all the time.
And all my friends. I love it. I love being a child here.
lady of light. What your background, that's no question. I've been updated to private, which is feature light.
Best thing about Luge is its useful, safe and sandy beach. As you can imagine, it's extremely popular with British tourists in the high season, but it's equally loved by the Portuguese.
In 1968, when I first came here, that is what this land looked like. Feels.
My father was a fisherman. When the sea was rough, he couldn't make any money. There was no jobs.
Destination for holiday coast of the Algarve.
You want to give it the air of paradise, summertime, make people like it was a great place.
What's there about it? There are apartments, single and double-story blocks in one part of the village. They come fully equipped with all cutlery, crockery, and linen, and they have the benefit of maid service.
He gave more work to everybody. She was able to get a job being a maid and have a wage. He gave more jobs to the local men as well, because they were building more houses.
Yeah, he's always upset. Agora vamos para research, mais turistas foram àquela região, porque na cidadão britânica esteve uma bandeira na praia. Like coming here, and people like the thought of having a holiday home. You know, saying I've got to go in the Algarve, I'm the same impression about it. People like that.
They say that the Algarve is Europe's best kept secret. Perhaps they're right.
I built this 30 years ago. We have a terrace with sea views. What has happened over the years is the town has grown and grown and grown, so we have not much sea view. But that's progress. For 25 years, it's the most popular bar in the area. There are a lot of people, so many guitar people. Like Lewis is a unusual people, which I find very interesting. A lot of people lie about who they are and what they've been. Come down here and read Reddit. There is a poet in Ireland called Silver Shores and Golden Sands. And every morning, every day, another writer comes to stay. And it's true.
Algarve was always the paradise. I was so free, very, very safe. And this is the thing that doesn't shit on my mind. How could this happen in the place where I was when I was a child and when I felt so secure?
Cada vez que fui ao Algarve de férias, foi isso. Cada vez que voltei ao Algarve em trabalho. Conheci-me de Lisboa, das investigações de gás de droga, e para fazer face também a política de combate à droga. O amarelo, e agora o último que o desenvolvimento à frente, o Cláudio Operacional.
The main opportunity here of drugs, and that's not necessarily for him, that's coming through here by nature of his geography. I mentioned how easy it is to land.
O Algarve, uma zona com litoral de praias e fica a algumas milhas de Marrocos, onde se sai o grande centro de produção de azeite e cannabis. As horas de horas que estão na costa do Algarve.
So Portugal, the Eastern European gangs, the Balkan gangs, you've got 4 or 5 big gangs from the UK, from Germany, from France. Everyone buying for attention here, everyone finding opportunities.
Eu acho que era publicado para Portugal e aprender no Algarve.
I was living with my mother at the time. Asked them when she hit a novel, she had told me that she has on the news that a child in Congress in Bangladesh.
Kind of thing is coming through to us. You can speak now to Jill, who is a family friend. Have they got any thoughts as to what might have happened? It's been taken, that building up.
But it's very tall. There's already other pictures that I remember the mention ocean. So one of the things we discovered and we have located some sort of color. So have a map slip where we can see it from the I were in Kessel, Louisiana. My mother's home. They're by the woods. While I was in the garden, I met up or had a conversation with a fence and asked him what was going on. He said that a 3-year-old had gone missing and they were having problems communicating with the police. That's nice. Just maybe I should go over there. They were struggling making themselves understood. I was there with them. Actually, that's what I did have language skills. That's the only thing I can bring to the table for the language skills. I was driven, that's the truth. I had all time. I was going to the same agencies. And I felt that everybody should do as much as they could to find it.
Is that the majority of people you might want to help to look to start with, but the police aren't using anything safe. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a police car sitting there, but nobody's out looking. Do they need help out there?
This is it. This is now what was the Mark Warner complex, the Ocean Club. This one here, 5A. I said hello to them, I said, I introduced myself as a reporter from the Mail. And they said, hi, I think they may have asked, so thanks for coming. That was really, unfortunately, all I could get out at that point. So there wasn't much opportunity, sadly, to talk to the family about what happened the night before. Initially, there was maybe just a small bit of tape here in front of the apartment, in front, and then a little bit at the side, where the patio doors were. There was a note on the steps leading up saying, don't go past this point. I looked in, the door was open, and I think I tried to speak. I wanted to push my way through the door into the apartment, which obviously was fancy. So, to do that, but I've got the impression it wouldn't have been difficult at all to sort of walk in and have a look around. It was difficult not.
inicial, eu não vou dizer que foi mal feito, era inadequado por parte dele. Ok? Desaparecimento, ou seja, desaparecimento só por si não é ver, não se pode dizer que há um início local. E, portanto, a Polícia Judiciária não pode iniciar determinado tipo de investigações, lançar mão de determinadas técnicas, procedimentos que existem no processo penal, seja disposições telefónicas, seja o que for, sem existir um processo de nenhum vai ser algo considerado uma qualidade investigativa.
On the 4th, Kate and Jerry went to Portimao to give their statements about the incident to the police. One of the things they stressed was that their friend Jane Tanner had told them they had seen a man crossing the street in small pajamas. It was unbelievable the man had been taken. Kate and Jerry were interviewed one at a time. The police officer sat laboriously typing up all of the
It's not one coin cost. Kate can is your first trip. She's not back. Yes, very much. From the end after
Cheguei à mãe da criança, calma que nós íamos fazer o contrário.
They've been searching all morning and last night, as have staff and guests. For now, they have nothing to report. Obviously, everyone here is extremely concerned. One local I spoke to said that everyone who heard about it last night has been getting involved, photocopied pictures of the little girl are being handed out around town, and both the National Guard, police, and the crime squad are in. So that's the state of affairs at the moment.
She's a doctor, she's a cardiologist, consultant, saves people's lives, and this is hate thing.
Everybody was looking everywhere. Everybody was looking. I went to look at this to see if I could find anything. I have 6 children, and one of them was only 3 years old. I was very sorry for the parents. I prayed for the little girl. I prayed a lot for her.
This was a shop I went into, and as I came out of the shop, there was an expat woman. She had a flyer, like a flyer picture of Maddie, and she was going around, and they were putting them up on walls. Have you seen this girl? And they had a few, stack of them. So I said, "Can I take one?" And just really just started walking around with the stores. I'm a father, I'm a school girl. It's about to be too. I was at the stomach, it's a horrible feeling that, someone's lost a child. That summer we've been away in Mallorca, we left this to my son, our group had gone down to a restaurant. Go by the grace of God. We were down the road slightly with our daughter upstairs in the room in the hotel, 152 meters away. Everybody did that. And all our friends would do that. It's just a case of as many people helping as possible. The shops were going as normal. Everything was going on so relatively normal, apart from a few expats and a few locals who were helping in this search.
It is a striking community effort. Have you got the spare time just to chip in a couple of hours or anything every day?
There wasn't any doubt in what we had to do. We all started looking.
It's a sense that a girl had walked off at night. Maybe she was just found wandering around the field. She'd fallen down a hole. She tripped up, banged her head. That she was going to be found. There was a big trench here, from about here, going down, leading down from about here, all the way down the road, about this wide and about 6 foot deep, and there were 2 or 3 guys working in the trench. She's fallen down there. They buried her by accident.
Oh no, when she used the main road in the tourist areas, the wells all over the place. By where I live, yeah, you can look down a well which is, I don't know, 100 feet deep. Sure, the child didn't want to go up there by himself, but you don't know accidents can happen. I worked initially with the JNR, which we had multiple urgent police, and in Fudbridge we had the JNR. And it's all cancellation to statements. Go and knock on doors in apartments through the block and around and ask if they've seen anything or heard anything. It wasn't
The police have just temporarily broken off their search. They've been searching all morning, and as you said last night, as have staff. And yes, for now, they have nothing to report. Obviously, everyone here is extremely concerned. One local I spoke to said that everyone who heard about it last night has been getting involved. Photocopied pictures of the little girl are being handed out around town, and both the National Guard police and the crime squad are involved.
Officers have launched a nationwide hunt, alerting ports and airports that the resource dogs have been scouring the area for clues.
and news spread. Holidaymakers, resort staff and villagers joined the operation.
Set a strategic search from the right-hand side of the village.
Okay, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm responsible for the Algarve Tourism Board. There's a little bit of negligence from the parents leaving. But I'm very surprised. This is it's a strange case. You know, how can a child disappears suddenly from an apartment? I'm still very stunned for what's happening. So as the time goes by, I feel a little bit worried.
It's not good for the reputation of the area. Of course it is not, but I understand as well that after the first thought, the first way of reaction, people will consider that what happened here could happen everywhere.
I heard about Madeline's disappearance initially by immediate time. I was running the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I was also simultaneously running the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Today, if your child is reported missing, using technology and the latest information systems, we're getting missing child photos out to the public and to law enforcement almost instantly.
What we've seen in the United States and elsewhere, and it's very frustrating to parents, is there's some cases that attract mass media, and some cases that attract very little attention. My view was always that the determiner was the circumstance. There was an incident case in the United States in 1979 in New York.
Police and neighbors have combed the area around the missing boy's home at 113 Prince Street several times over to no avail.
A little boy named Eitan Pates. The image of that child was seared into the brains and souls of millions of Americans.
Many of us he is still alive.
6 years old, abducted on the first day he was allowed to walk alone, bus stop.
Chances of each day, chances of a boy coming back alive are less and less.
What is with somebody wiser than he? Who will take care of him?
were lots of other child abduction cases. What was it about that case?
Said she took her son downstairs. She came back up and watched from his fire escape as he passed along West Broadway toward the bus stop where a group of other children and parents were waiting. She never dreamed he didn't get on that bus, not until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when he failed to return home.
Do average people, average parents identify with the service? Does a parent think they're with the racing guy? A little boy named Adam Walsh became a transcendent case in 1981.
Man vanished from a Sears toy department in Hollywood Mall.
Child wandered away from his mother in a Sears store in a shopping mall in South Florida. How many parents walk an aisle away from their child? Family story of life. How this is safe at a resort where people are having fun and enjoying themselves. Where is she safe? So it translates to every parent everywhere. And the circumstances made it new.
News this out. A 3-year-old British girl has gone missing. I was a general correspondent in northern Spain, in Bilbao, a couple of completely different stories. I was a sailing race. 30,000 miles behind him, people started to talk about the fact that there was this story developing down in Prague Luge. It's Mr. Carl in a holiday resort in the summer. It's going to connect to an awful lot of people.
I'm talking about a 3-year-old girl. Everybody has children. Everybody is afraid of losing money.
For us, it was a no-brainer. We needed to get there. We dashed to the airport, flew to Madrid to Luge. Hired a car and drove like mad. We literally walked up at 5 to 6, just in front of it for the 6 o'clock that night. Let's join Robert Hall, who's on the Algarve for us tonight. Robert.
Well, Ben, Jerry and Kate McGann are still in shock tonight, awaiting news of their missing daughter. We're heading towards 24 hours since she disappeared. It's an event that shocked not only holidaymakers in this resort, but also the inhabitants of this little Portuguese town. They've all been informed
Around 5 or 6. It was starting to build up. There were already people arriving, Germans were arriving. Some may have come down from Lisbon, and the local Portuguese press were arriving.
We were not many journalists that had an opportunity to fight for statistics. We were all facing something that we didn't understand at all.
And the main question was, how on earth was it possible for somebody to abduct a young child and walk away or something without anybody seeing it? Nobody heard nothing.
Here, do you think it is safe to live here?
Yeah, it's very safe. It's silent. There's people all over. There were people all over the place. Not to do with us. People just wandering about.
From a safe resort in Algarve, now a safe mountain.
In conversations with police, Madeline's parents have made it clear that whilst they didn't take up the offer of childcare, they were confident that because the restaurant was so close, just over this hedge, they could get back to the apartment regularly to check on the children. The police are also trying to work out why, if little Madeline did wander into the street, she wasn't spotted by somebody in the many apartments that overlook it.
I can't recall in my career going to a story like that where it happened in those circumstances, in that environment. It was a mystery.
I have been in touch with the National Chief of Police during the course of the day, and also with the Chief of Police here in the Algarve, and they've assured me that everything possible is being done. There is an intensive and extensive search and investigation underway, and that will continue.
gathered here, hoping to. We were told that at some point there was going to be an opportunity to speak to the family, that there was going to be some sort of press conference.
The local Portuguese press and some British journalists. It wasn't huge, really exploded.
They moved the McCanns a couple of apartments down, and they came out, and this was where the press conference came.
It was clearly very, very difficult for the journalists that first night.
Very short statement.
Very raw, very early.
Once cannot describe the anguish, the despair that we are feeling as the parents of our beautiful daughter Madeline. I request that anyone who may have any information related to Madeline's disappearance, no matter how trivial.
At that moment, all these things remember that I was saying to myself, if I cried, do I would go to the but at the same time, I feel that this is not news. This is story. This is their life.
Please, if you have Madeline, let her come home to her mummy, daddy, brother and sister. And everyone can understand how distressing the current situation is.
It's incredible moments. You know, you've been working all day, trying to piece together what had been going on, and it just brought it home.
I saw lots of male journalists not crying, but feeling pain.
This is not solved. This is not good news. There's no body. No one knows where she is. It's almost 24 hours later, and no one's any the wiser at all.
We ask that our privacy is respected to allow us to continue assisting the police in their investigation. Thank you. For the McCanns, it is now a matter of praying for a breakthrough.
You don't have a corpse, you don't have a lead, you don't have people to interview, you have nothing. It said that a 2-year-old British girl has been abducted in Portugal. Local police say the girl was on holiday with her parents, who was appeared in the Algarve. We'll obviously bring you more details on that. The calendar changed. We didn't have any more 24 this May, 5 of May. We had first day Madeline disappeared, second day, third. We counted the days for the days that Madeline was vanished.
We pray for Kate and Jerry McCann, for all parents of abducted children. We pray for Madeline.
We took an overnight flight to Toronto and we landed in Lisbon in May. I was holding Cassian, which is 5 months old. And it was this old, tiny Portuguese woman. And she said, hold on to your baby, hold on to your baby. There's been an English child taken. And I was like, what? Where?
She's a very attractive little girl. And she disappears on a perfect summer holiday night. And nobody seems to know where she vanished.
One or two individuals represented.
And we tried to hate it.
the surface, it's so banal. Families on holiday, put the children to bed, literally go inside the apartment, have dinner.
Well, I think the key then is for them to try and piece together what may have happened here. Look at the geography of the situation.
They take it in turns to go and check on the children. It's all so routine.
All we have to do was come out of the full-side campus bar there, come up this pavement, behind this white wall. It's very difficult to see what's going on inside the restaurant area, but it is interesting to note that on this little alleyway here, you can actually get a sight through the hedge of what's going on, so anybody watching would be able to see exactly who's coming. Because just here, well, this is actually...
It's also quite public. It's overlooked by big apartments on the other side of the road. Now, there are quite a few people staying here.
I keep coming back to the question of there on the very first day. How? How is it possible for some stranger to know that those children are alone? Go in, remove one child without waking up the others, or apparently waking up the child that they're taking. They then make their way out again. They don't know for sure when the next person from the dinner party is going to come up and peek through those doors. They're going out into a lit street. I guess the only conclusion you can draw is that somebody was watching that apartment. Somebody planned it.
Surrounded so many times. And they start coming from other countries, Belgium, from the United States.
Around the world.
Press. Temos clientes locais desses diários britânicos. Agora existem muitas pessoas e todos fazem neste momento esta pergunta: será possível encontrar Mary, who was so meant for that little road in South Africa? As we are trying to dispute the territory. Oh God, I need to put my camera. Can you please go away? Can you please just let me do this live report now? Às 4 casas. Well, they make it. No one can quite believe what's happened. If you're in this place, you're on holiday, this disaster's happened. Imagine it's a sweet, beautiful holiday resort, and suddenly there's just people everywhere. The media service was growing by the minute. Every newspaper was there, TV stations, helicopters, Sky News, and everything all around. And everybody wants their story. Someone was scurrying around because it felt so under the spotlight. So we went back to
a sigh of relief from the bar business now that they can serve customers indoors for the first time in a year.
Honestly, I was so stoked.
It's especially exciting for bartender Dylan Wood. He'll be back working at the Bearded Goat, a place he called home for so long after months of uncertainty.
We both wanted to try out a new city.
The Greensboro native moved to Chicago with his wife in 2019, but he got laid off. They were
clearly at that point, questions are beginning to form. Do you hope as a parent your child is going to reappear within hours? All they could do was sit in that resort and wait.
For the second consecutive night, Jerry and Kate McCann emerged to ask for help. He would again like to appeal for any information, however small, that may lead to the safe return of Madeline.
In fact, everyone involved knows there can be no let-up. There's a real chance that this little girl can come to safety.
7 minutes past 6. Still nothing in the search for little Madeline.
Official comment by the Portuguese waiting for the years or press conference.
Eu recordo que nos permite não saía das instalações da polícia e ninguém me conhecia.
Information is very slow to come from the Portuguese authorities.
Depois tudo soube a complicar. Graças a Deus ninguém me conhece. Mas isto foi prometido.
Portuguese police don't give out information as the investigation is progressing. For us, that's quite strange, and I think it's
máquina. E se os órgãos judiciais estão a fazer alguma coisa, nós ordenamento jurídico, em termos penais e processuais, e outros, houve segredo de justiça. Portanto, é o salvaguardar a investigação e a descoberta da verdade material. É essa a razão por que existe. Não foi causado como investigação.
Police here can't rely on CCTV footage. It's a rarity in Portugal, with the exception of petrol stations. We're told a member of staff noticed a woman and a child matching Madeline's description.
A little girl who was similar to Madeline, seen on CCTV, only man and woman just a few hours after she disappeared.
And what these reports suggest is that a member of the public noticed a man with a girl answering Madeline's description behaving in an unusual way in a supermarket in the town.
There's a lot of speculation.
Our report was one that was seen at Walmart with a blonde girl.
There's a talk of a car crash disappearing down towards the marina, but nobody could substantiate that.
It's clear that we were at arm's length from official police information. We had to just make assumptions from what we could see going on as to what their strategy was. All anybody really wants is some hard news of this little girl, and
We work 24 hours a day live. No, nothing. Yes, we finish 3 of them. All we need is national food.
Yeah, for the first day, the original high definition pictures. This piece of library, for example, was Smith Adults at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon the first day. At this point, there were quite a lot of detectives in Lagos, and none of them really knew what to do or were doing anything with the area. Funny enough, the headquarters, you can just make up the big fancy, see all the detectives in plain clothes, which are stuffing up the buttons, looking for what they're going to do next.
Tem que haver uma resposta rápida da polícia. Menos as primeiras 72 horas, mas são horas vitais para a polícia trabalhar e avançar.
From up here, you get a real sense of the problems faced by a small police force. There are hundreds of small apartments and villas here. All of them have got to be checked. More difficulties for a police force that is already stretched.
This is a time when the population of the area of prime needs triples from some 400,000 to 1.5 million people.
It's difficult, particularly difficult for small police departments with limited resources, particularly difficult for small police departments that haven't worked these kinds of cases before.
Pictures of police on the Spanish border are deeply worried. The officers are supposed to be checking vehicles leaving Portugal. Instead, for 40 minutes, they sit in their own cars, out of the rain.
Time is the enemy in the search for a missing child.
A van with blacked out windows drives by. This just hours after Madeline went missing.
The Portuguese judicial police were slow to implement things like checks on the highways, roadblocks, looking for the possibility of a fleeing abductor.
Já tinha passado muito tempo, se era para sair de uma criança de Portugal para ser inteiro, uma hora e meia, nessa fronteira. Coisas que são quase impossíveis de nós pararmos.
The news conference this evening, and under mounting pressure, the police finally, and perhaps belatedly, provided a description of someone they would like to interview.
Here build a person, Caucasian, approximately 35 to 40 years old, of age, mainly built, approximately 5 to 10 years old, not possible to carry a child or an object that would have been taken as a child. No início da investigação, saiu correr o investigador da polícia para definhar aquilo que era referido pela agente técnica, que é visto como a criança ao colo.
Was produced, and this shopkeeper was showed it by it was an oval shape with hair, no definable features. But its importance lies in the timing.
Bom filme de São Palavras dele, ovo conta dele.
E ela chega no cabelo e o desenho fica com
can, Jill Rennick. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you spoken directly to them in the last little while?
The last text I got from Kate was, I have no faith in Kate, please help. We phoned everybody that we knew that would have influence or would know somebody, politicians and your press, just to see if we could get any kind of help there.
The McCanns had connections through family with people in the media, and they had engaged whoever they could to heighten awareness of this.